Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
What can I do for you guys?
Right, Todd. So Winnipeg Police. We're here as a result of an incident that took place on the 29th of November. So as a result of your attendance in a group setting of more than 5 people, there's a ticket being issued under the Public Health Act. Okay? Do you have any questions?
What event was that?
January 29th in Hanover.
November 29th.
There was no event.
There was a gathering of people there, and you were witnessed as being part of a group of people of more than 5. So this is as a result of that.
Well, first of all, there was no event because the police blocked the road to enter the event. So
Okay, whatever.
what there was in effect a traffic jam. No different than what would result if you did a check stop. You built up a pile of cars.
Yeah, I'm not here to dispute it. I'm just.
I want that just to be on the record, anyway.
Sure. So I'm just letting you know the information. This is your copy of the ticket.
Shame on you guys.
All right, take care.
Shame on you guys. One day you're going to have to decide what side of the line you're going to stand on. All of you. Think about that.
Earlier in December, I covered the Fight the Fines case of Jacob Clausen. Now, Jacob is a Manitoba trucker who, along with other members of his faith community, decided to meet in a public park to sing Christmas carols and Christian hymns. They did this in response to the Manitoba government's absolutely outrageous ruling that closed churches, banning in-person religious services as a way to stop the spread of the almost 100% completely survivable coronavirus. The whole thing was absolutely outrageous. Jake was ticketed nearly $1,300, even though everybody who attended the singing service was outside and standing at least 6 feet away from the nearest group of people. We have video footage of this. Everybody who came stayed within the family groups or the groups that they arrived in when they traveled to the service. So we hired Jake, a criminal lawyer, and we told him to plead not guilty because we are going to absolutely fight that fine. But after we took on Jacob's case, more people came forward from those very same singing services. Today I'm going to introduce you to 3 more families who received the same sort of ridiculous tickets as Jake. Today you're going to meet Peter Friesen, John Harder, and Rudy Unger. Now, Rudy is speaking on behalf of his parents. His parents were the ones who were ticketed, but they have English as a second language and they didn't feel confident talking to me. So Rudy's their spokesperson. These are law-abiding, God-fearing people, and they're fined for singing in an open-air public park in a very sparse crowd. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Check it out. Joining me now is Rudy Unger. Now, Rudy is speaking to me on behalf of his parents who English is not their first language. So he's going to tell their story, but Rudy's also a trucker. He's in his truck right now, and he's at work because, thank God, he's still one of the people working in Manitoba. Rudy, why don't you tell me exactly how your parents came to get a COVID violation ticket?
Well, it was Sunday as well. We had another singing hymns and just, you know, it's all we were doing. But of course the cops showed up again and they didn't intervene. They let us do our thing. And we sing 10 songs and we go on our way. We're not trying to disturb the peace, but apparently they think we are. And so everybody dispersed, and I got a message saying that my parents had gotten pulled over. So I was worried right away. So I got into my pickup, and I started going over there to circle them, or just drive around. I called my mom on her cell to see what was going on, and of course she said they were getting fines for disobeying the health order. Found out how that's even possible. I mean, we get together in a park, everybody's social distancing, everybody's staying well far apart. But what actually boggles me the most is how the cops treated my parents and their elderly friend this time around. My mom was the passenger. The other lady was a passenger. My dad was driving. Of course, my dad's going to have his ID on him. And the cops asked my mom for her ID. Well, she had left her wallet at home because not everybody takes their IDs with them. And as well with Mrs. Redicop that was in the back. And the cops just assumed they were refusing to give their ID, which was not the case at all. And so they were threatening to arrest my mom and the older lady for not showing their IDs. They were saying, we can have you arrested.
Now, your parents, I'm assuming, given the fact that they were so shaken by their interaction with the police, they're generally law-abiding people, right?
Absolutely. Never had an issue with the law, ever.
Now, did they both get tickets?
My dad got one, my mom got one, and the other lady, Mrs. Redicop, got one.
Well, Rudy, I think this is a terrible shame that 3 elderly people were ticketed for just trying to worship together while standing apart from everybody else in a park. I can't imagine that the police in Winkler don't have something better to do with their time. We are going to find your parents a lawyer. We'll connect them with a lawyer because we don't want them to pay this fine. It's Christmas. I'm sure your parents have better things to do with the money. And we don't think they should pay it anyways because we think these fines are unconstitutional. So we are going to connect your parents with a lawyer at no cost to them. The lawyer will work for them. We are going to crowdfund to make sure that we cover the cost of their lawyer. Do you have a message for anybody out there who sees what's happening to your parents and feels compelled to donate to cover the cost of their lawyer?
I mean, if people aren't going to stand up, stand together, and unite, things aren't going to change. And I predicted at December 1st that Brian Pallister and Dr. Rousson, they were not going to change things on December 11th. Well, it's not even December 11th, and they already extended it.
We were at the Bethel Park in Winkler. We were singing hymns just like we had done the weekend before. And we stood in a group, and so did all the other families. We all stood, 6 feet apart. We sang our songs. And after that, we all left. Nobody gathered to visit after or anything because we don't want to cause trouble, right? I was wanting to walk across the street to step into my truck, and there was one vehicle wanting to make a left-hand turn, and there was a police officer in his vehicle behind that vehicle. So he watched me step into my truck. I turned my turn signal on. I left my parking spot, and I drove down the street, and then I made a left-hand turn. Then I stopped at the four-way stop, and then I kept driving, and then they had pulled a different fellow over already, and then he waited till we were like 3 or 4 blocks apart, and then he came barreling through town at whatever speeds he was going to pull me over. And then he came to my truck and he says, I need to check your driver's and registration. I'm like, well, okay, that's a little bit odd, but I'll give it to you. So he took it, and then he says, now I have to give you a ticket for gathering in a public place or whatever however he worded it. So he went to his vehicle, and it took 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, he came back, and then I had a $1,296 ticket for not following the Public Health Order Act or whatever it says on my ticket.
Yeah, I've already heard about several tickets associated with that day. I'm already helping some people fight those. And we're going to do the same thing for you. John, I don't want you to pay that ticket. It's Christmas time. I'm sure you have a lot better things to do with $1,300. I'm going to connect you with a lawyer. at no cost to you that will help you fight this fine, because we think this fine is unconstitutional and I don't think it's fair. You were social distancing in a public park. Just singing, I think it's absolutely crazy. Do you have a message for everybody at home who's going to donate and crowdfund to cover the cost of your legal fees?
Well, I would just tell everybody to do exactly what we're doing. You guys can donate all the money you guys want, but come to the park, help us fight against what we're fighting. Like, they all might get tickets, and we all know that, but there's people like you and all the other lawyers out there that are willing to help us fight these for free. Don't be scared. Stand up for our rights, our freedom, because right now we have zero.
Peter, can you tell me exactly what you were doing that caused the police to come along and ticket you?
We had gone to this park where there were several people that sang some songs, and it was nice. It lasted roughly half an hour. We were actually a little bit late, but then we all stayed apart. And then the cops came, and one cop parked on the parking lot, and two of them were blocking the one entrance, and the other one was left open. And then when we were done, we got in our car, and I looked back, and as soon as I got in the car, my wife and I both got in the car, and then this officer jumped in his truck and he chased us down the street. And then I asked him what the stop was for, and it was for gathering at the park. So he gave me a $1,296 fine, and that was good.
And I've interviewed already some of the other folks who were in the park that day. They're all telling the exact same story, and maybe you can just confirm this for me. When everybody got to the park, you all stood with your families, the people you came in the car with. You weren't standing beside anybody else, and you weren't visiting after it all wrapped up.
No, we left right away. My wife and I stood apart from everybody else. And from what I could see, most of them were at least 6 feet apart or more. From what I saw, I don't think there was any so-called laws being broken there with this. But why
was it so important for you to be in the park to sing with your friends and neighbors?
Well, for us, we weren't trying to get into trouble. That's not why we went there at all. We went there because we are Christians, and to us, it's important to gather together. And I mean, that's a church thing. It's biblical. And we've been doing the church thing online at home the whole time. And it was just nice to see that a group was gathering, and we came there to kind of support them and show God that we appreciate what he has done for us.
Now, these tickets are some of the stupidest applications of Manitoba's already stupid coronavirus restrictions on public gatherings that I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them. I do this all day long, going through these Fight the Fines tickets. We're going to fight this ticket on behalf of Rudy Unger's family and on behalf of John Harder and Peter Friesen as hard as we possibly can. It's bad enough that the government of Manitoba has done the unconstitutional thing of closing Manitoba church pews. But then ticketing people for worshiping and singing in a public park? Oh no, not on my watch. Now, if you'd like to help us help Rudy's family and Peter and John, please donate today at a special website we've set up. I've already referred to it a couple times. It's fightthefines.com. We've got to teach the Manitoba government that their overreaching pandemic laws cannot override the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you've received a coronavirus ticket for doing something completely normal, something that's now all of a sudden illegal, don't pay it, plead not guilty, and fight the ticket. And I will help by putting you in touch with a top criminal lawyer at no cost to you. Submit your ticket at fightthefines.com. And if you'd like to help us and help our legal efforts to put the government back in its lane, you can do that too at that special website I just mentioned, fightthefines.com.